good presentation, well outlined. You're taking most of what we need to take into account. I want to get onto scheduling in a minute and just part of that, because it's an ambitious project. But I feel like everything you've done up till now has led us up to this. When you're giving us your review there, the only bit that I have to question a little bit is your ability to write to a schedule, and draft to a schedule. You said you did, you have in some ways, but there has been times when we're waiting a little bit for a draft to come through or stuff like that.
I think it's been mainly, I don't want to say motivation, but I think it is motivation. I think it is motivation, because I know, from experience in some college projects, some just like passion projects. If I start writing, I could quite conceivably within one night do an entire blog piece, including editing as I go. And obviously, for the sake of the FMP, I need to do different drafts. But I do know, and I know ultimately this project decides if I go to uni or not. So
That's it. There's more at stake.
So mentally, I know I will get it done at speed. I know on my plan, I think I've put for 7 blogs, but I have cut it down to 6 now.
Yeah, well, we'll come on to that in a sec. Because I just want to clarify a couple of things first. But I've no doubt there's more at stake, and there's no doubt then that that's going to give you that extra little bit of motivation you need. But I have to point that out because up until now, even though you've produced some quality material, it's taken a little longer than we would have wanted. I do realise that like you said, adaptability, you had to change things around at the last minute, and we were working through things and stuff. But you do tend to write longer form, and when you do, it's more in depth, but it obviously involves a lot more research, which brings me on to the amount. But before we get to the amount, I think it's important we acknowledge how we're aiming to distribute, because this has questions around audience, but it also relates to the potential primary research you're going to do.
I completely forgot to put that on the PowerPoint.
So in your mind at the moment, how are we going to present all this work?
Well, based on what I've seen other people do in previous years, I feel as though it'd be best to create a website, like a blog website. To put them on. But the emphasis wouldn't be on the website itself, because obviously design isn't my thing. So I will design it to the best of my ability.
Well, you can keep it simple, but you would still have to take into account the design element and what it looks like. If Jesse was sat here now, because we said the same thing pretty much to everyone who's doing a blog, you would have to be able to kind of like justify why you're choosing a certain template. You would have to base it on other football blogs that are out there. For instance, what's his name? I wrote his name down. Henry Winter. He's got a blog. It looked quite simple. It's because the emphasis, as you say, is on the writing. So it's not on loads of pretty pictures and stuff. Although pictures are involved and would need sourcing.
Definitely. I know I completely left out on PowerPoint. That was my bad. But I have already planned for the website on my the actual FMP website. I've got sections for blog research and website research and blog production. Good. So that is in my plan.
Just a note on research. On Monday, we're going to do a little session in the AM on Monday to help everyone establish a research plan. So just be prepared to, if there's already things you've marked up for research, just be prepared that you might have to add a couple of other strands to that, all right? Just describe long form, short form, and what your idea of a long form or short form is at this moment.
Well, I'd consider short form probably under 1,000, 1,500 words.
Right.
And long form probably above 2,500.
And you want to write 7 blogs?
Oh, well, no, 6.
That's pretty hardcore.
I think I can do it, genuinely.
I would say.
I think the only challenge could be with having the enough accompanying research for them, but I think the actual writing wouldn't be an issue at all.
Well, I don't know how you've mapped that out on here. It looks like you're going to write one, and then research one, then write one, then research one, like that. Is that your process?
I was going to research one, draft it, edit it. Final draft.
I'll end up editing the final edit on it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do, but you'll copy edit it. Like you'll get rid of the mistakes and stuff like that. I wouldn't expect to see those.
Yeah.
But I can read it through if you like before you post it onto your blog site. And that'll be I'm not saying I'll be able to do it for everyone, but I'll try. Yeah. Why don't you give yourself a more of a realistic target? I love the subjects you're going to look at, but why don't you say, this is my ideal target, this is my next target?
I say it is adaptable, to be fair, because although I'm aiming for 6, and I do think I can, but obviously if I start to realise that maybe this isn't feasible, I can very easily say, well, the one I was going to do in 3 weeks' time, I'll cut that off.
Really, your plan, you should be able to work out in your plan, based on the process of researching and completing 1, how long it's going to take you to do 6, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it works out as saying 1 every 3/4 of a week.
Right, but don't forget as well, there's other contextual research to kick things off. So there'll be, looking at other blog sites, looking at the current climate with football blogging, kind of describing who's somewhere some of the better kind of like stuff can be read, breaking down some of the platforms and what they address. You do a little profile of the Athletic and the type of writing you get in there and stuff like that. When you're identifying styles and things, So breaking down a few different pieces and articles to show your attention to style and what you're trying to create. All of that has to be done before you actually start writing.
Yeah, definitely.
So once you get into the flow of research for facts, then put that into an article, draft it, put it into the blog, fine. But all the groundwork beforehand,
definitely.
Just got to make sure that's taken care of. Okay. So you are going to write. So the fact you've got freedom of opinion, great, but you're aware that has to be supported opinion, obviously.
Well, that's how, and then my previous blogs that I've done, I do like to also show the other side of the argument. So although I'll give my opinion, I am open to both.
I don't know how much effort you're going to need to put into primary research or for what reason. You should have some primary research, but I don't want you to spend loads and loads of time on it when it's kind of futile. You don't it's not going to tell you anything.
I'm not aiming as a primary research. Part of it is identify my target audience. But then also say if I am doing secondary research and hear about a guy, say the thing about Russians' exclusion from football, and I hear about a Russian guy, potentially reaching out. Say my last FMP, I reached out to people to get interviews because I could have done it without that, but it just added to it. So I'm not going to invest loads of time, but it's worth sending an email if the right opportunity comes up.
Well, I don't think you have to establish through primary research who your audience are.
No, but I said about how initially, because I say it's quite a large scope. I mean, that's more to hit the criteria rather than because I need to.
Yeah, no, I think what you should do with primary research is where and when it's needed for a particular blog.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, use it.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
So the one, for instance, you mentioned about women's football, we could quite easily help you line up a bit of primary research for that, where you're maybe talking to other young women who are trying to make it in the game or get into football journalism and stuff like that. And you can find firsthand what some of their challenges are. That would be a good example of primary research, rather than. I thought you meant you were going to do primary research to establish your audience. You can pretty much establish your audience to begin with, can't you? Who they are. And like you said there, it's predominantly male. But it'd be interesting to see how you cater for the emerging female reader as well. And acknowledging that you're doing that in some way, shape or form.
Yeah, well, that's also, I've made a point of doing topics that aren't, specifically male orientated, doing pieces about women's football.
Well, for instance, if you're writing about women's football, then there's an opportunity there, a golden opportunity for you to point out how you're targeting women with that. And that's where that primary research would come in really handy. If you're writing about the dark side of football academies, unless you included the way they attract women and the way they work with women as well as
I'd
men.
include all aspects.
Yeah, good. So I just want you to be able to acknowledge how you are targeting that emerging readership.
The thing I've tried to do as well, I think, other than the Mikel Arteta one, which is more just because I'm an Arsenal fan and it will be fun to write about. But I think all of them could be appealing to someone who has no interest in football. You know, you've got the Russia-Ukraine thing, that's political.
No, I agree.
The thing, that's gender.
I agree.
And that's all the aim.
I just think you should pick the first three should be the ones you really want to write above everything else, and the ones that you're going to find it easier to research above everything else. And then perhaps one of the more challenging ones as you go along, you know, set that out quite clearly in your portfolio. I'm going to tackle these three first, and any three after that, or any one after that, or two or three is a bonus. So set your sights at 3. Don't set your sights at 6. And then it shows. Then if you manage to get to 4 or 5 or 6, you're smashing the organisational element, and we can grade you accordingly. But don't set your sights too far and then find out that you weren't able to get there. Better to keep it shorter. 3 is perfectly acceptable, as long as they're not like 500 words each, of course.
That won't be.
But 3 would be perfectly acceptable if you've been through a drafting process and a research process for each one. All right. We'll talk more about each one as you're doing it. I think the year on about the Russian thing. Has it helped the question? Punishing the people? Well, that's the whole point. Because by punishing the people, it puts pressure on the political system. You with me? So that's.
So with that one, I do agree with the ban, because I feel like it's an interesting topic where you can question it to a degree, which. So that's what I chose.
I think if you line them up now as the first 3, what would you say?
I'd say. I forget what they are now. The Dark Side of Football Academies. I really like that one. Number 1. I'd say the Issues Plagued in Women's Football, number 2. And probably the Ukraine or Russia one, number 3.
Oh, really? You don't want to do Arteta?
Well, I do, but that's more because I think it would be fun. I think there's a lot more.
But don't when you want to show a bit of versatility, where your voice is not just very serious, Jack.
Potentially.
So that shows a little bit of diversity in your voice. With me. Plus, you'd be inspired to get that one done. And then if your 4th one was you were going back to something a little bit more in depth and formal, then you might have the energy for the 4th one. So why not do that? Why not have fun with the 3rd one?
That makes sense.
And plus, it'll be current, relevant. Arsenal will be, the title race will be getting even closer. They're pulling away a bit. It's like. Seem to be, I don't know.
It won't last.
All right. But they'll be very current. And all right. And I think it's all these subjects, everything you want to do, top grade written all over it. But as we said, up till now, so basically with this FMP, you're going to show us a level of organisation and motivation that we've yet to see. You with me? So I'm stating that for the record because I don't want to get to the end and say, I'm really sorry, Jake, but because I want you to be aware of that and how that's going to change,
definitely.
If it does, I will be just as happy as you are, if not happier. All right? Brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
We'll just make sure next week we got that research plan in place. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, good man.